One. Welcome everyone to another A Day in the Life of. Today we have the HR department. So I have with me three heads of HR. We have Paulina from Vino, Javier from Tectonica, and Claire from ULife. So Paulina, what would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would be happy to. My name is Pauliina. I'm from Finland, from Vainu. At Vainu, we build company data to B2B companies, basically, to use in sales, marketing, ops roles to make sure that our customers have good data at hand in their existing systems at any time, basically. And I have worked for Vainu since 2015, so a long time already, 2 years as head of HR, and before that as talent development manager. And back in the days when I started at Vainu, I worked as a salesperson and sales team lead. So
That's
understanding
awesome. Yeah,
that part of sales processes.
interesting. Yeah, you came from sales to HR. That's super interesting.
Yes.
How about you, Claire?
Hi everyone, I'm Claire. I'm leading the people team at ULife. I have only been with ULife for about 6 months, so still very new. I've worked in HR for about 15 years. I've worked in large corporate companies. I've worked in smaller kind of scale ups. ULife is very much in that wonderful space between startup heading into kind of scale up and the growing into the proper company stage. So what do ULife do? We provide insurance products for employees. That's the boring bit. And then we have this really fun wellbeing app where people can earn Ucoin for doing walking quests, fitness classes, all of that good stuff. And we allow people to spend their Ucoin on, we've got a lot of different partners, some really great ESG companies. So you can transfer your Ucoin to help feed families in Ukraine, for example.
Oh, that's awesome.
So a really good initiative. You can spend your Ucoin on Amazon vouchers and stuff like that as well. But the ESG stuff's like kind of the really cool bit.
Amazing. Very good. Nice. Very nice. How about you, Javier?
Hi, I'm Javier. I'm Spanish, actually in origin, and I'm currently working as HR admin and social impact director for Tectonica. That is a company that provides digital marketing solutions and consultancy services to progressive movements in the political spectrum. So sounds really complicated because it is actually, but basically it's just working with progressive movements, helping them achieve their goals and mobilizing and helping people organize, which is very interesting. Same as Claire. I've been with the company for a bit. I haven't been here for long because I have extensive background in other sort of businesses, specifically tourism. So I've moved from operations into HR. But yeah, like I have a legal background, so HR kind of like came naturally to me as well.
And you're great with people. I used to work with Javier, and he's definitely great with people, which is a great skill to have when you work at HR. Awesome. I love to see all different backgrounds and different life experience. And as I mentioned before we started the episode, that's why I have three speakers and not one, because I love to have these diverse backgrounds and industries and companies. So, yes, Paulina, tell me, what do you do as head of HR?
Yes. I'm basically the only HR, I'm responsible for HR, but I'm the only HR person as well. We have one person working as a HR admin, like with admin tasks, but then mostly me and supervisors, we are doing like HR manager work. So basically I do everything at Vainu. Most important things are people development. So actually my title is HR and people development. So those things are equally important. And my strengths are definitely in the people development part. If Javier is like a legal expert, I'm not, and I'm happy to have being able to turn to experts when needed. But people development is my thing, and then lots of recruitments as well. And then I'm fortunate to have Sara as part of my HR team, who is interested in doing lots of admin stuff. So that's our setup.
Yeah. And Claire, how does it differ from you? How is it different from what Paulina just
So
said?
I actually have a team of people working with me. So we have the people coordinator who's doing kind of the HR system stuff, the paperwork contracts, people partner who's dealing with all of the global issues, because we recruit people globally. I have a there's people ops manager, people partner, recruitment and talent people. So I do have a team. So my role is probably more about looking at the people strategy. So I've recently written the people strategy, making sure that it aligns to the business goals. Just keep refreshing it all the time, making sure that we're delivering what we need to, and then kind of looking at. I just posted on LinkedIn this morning, actually, like always asking, what's the problem we're trying to fix? Like, where are the challenges in the business? And then thinking about the initiatives that we need to put in place to solve those things. And then I guess the other part of it is, obviously, we're a growing business. So right now, everything I'm looking at is, I'm always asking, will this scale for the future? So like the HR system, for example, I'm looking at it going, is this fit for purpose? Will this give me the data that I need, whether I've got 200 people or 2,000 people? Policies, processes, do they work now? Will they work in the future? So just looking at kind of how we're going to scale in the kind of 6, 12, 18, 24 months. So yeah, probably just not doing much of the doing, just kind of stepping back and taking a look across the business.
Yeah, makes sense. Different company sizes, different responsibilities as well. So I'm relate a bit more with Paulina. I mean, I don't do HR, but I also do a myriad of different things from different departments. So I totally get it. How about you, Javier? Are you more in Claire's or in Paulina's spectrum, let's say?
Yeah, I'd say I'm closer to Paulina's, but in a company that's similar to Claire's in the sense that it's a scale up and it's going. So basically, it's just I'm in charge of building both the team and the structures that are needed for the companies to scale up. So basically, the question about like, will this hold a structure of like 200 employees is my day to day in a nutshell. But also just going about like the team that is there, how we should recruit them, looking into that, and just putting the right people in the right positions for the company to be able to grow and do its thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned day to day, Javier. How do you structure? How does a typical day look like for you?
It's a weird one at this stage because I mean, like I'm still kind of building all of the processes, but I've got like part of the admin tasks that I'm in charge of that have to do a bit with finance, a bit with like payroll, which are like your standard HR practices. But then I'm also really involved in developing projects. Well, I call them projects, but it's kind of like ideas and new processes and documenting them and building up like a library of processes and a structure. So that's kind of like really heavily on my mind now. So I think that, I don't know, 6 months from now, my day to day will hopefully look a lot different, because if we keep on building processes for so long, it's going to be a madness. Yeah.
Yes, somehow you have to also put them in practice, right? Not only just building.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Paulina? How do you structure your day? How your typical day looks like?
Yes, we have been recruiting a lot last spring and this like early autumn as well. I have been involved in like I have lost count how many recruitment talks. So that has been like the most important thing structuring my days for a long time. Now actually it's super interesting to see that suddenly the recruitments have we have managed to recruit lots of talented people, super happy for that, but we have lowered our recruitment targets for next year, like due to market situation. Basically, we want to make sure that like no one starts working at Vainu and then don't have enough things to do, or like something terrible happens and we have already recruited too many people, but now we're definitely not there. Earlier it was so easy because recruitments always go according to the person who is applying their schedule, so it was easy to build like the most important things in the days. But now when I haven't had that many recruitments, I have had the chance to basically look at the processes a bit, even though Vainu is already, or like I have worked for Vainu for a long time, we are in a scale up situation as well, and renewing some of the processes is something that has been put aside for a long time. Not sales processes, not marketing processes, not customer processes, but the others. So that kind of things I have suddenly had time to do that kind of things. But then having lots of talks with individual people about their personal development, career development, or supervisors, supporting them to do those talks. Those are my most important things that I'm doing currently.
How about you, Claire? Is it much different from what Paulina said?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I have a typical day. I think that through the week I have set meetings. I always make time for one-to-ones with the team, like non-negotiable. That's stuck in
Yeah.
my diary. They're not moving. I generally try to keep my diary free from meetings because people will want to speak to me through the day and through the week. It's just that is what HR is like, right? So people kind of come forward. So I try to keep chunks of my diary free. I do like to reach out to people and just say, how's it going? So that's how kind of I identify the challenges, how I unpick things, and just kind of keeping a finger on the pulse, just, you know, those kind of just ad hoc check-ins. I spend a lot of my time reading, researching, looking at the trends that are happening in HR, looking at the challenges, looking at the data. So yeah, just no typical day really. It's very
I have to
varied.
agree to that. Like no typical day, definitely not. And super important point to have time, because that was something that I felt that kind of like our team, like the whole company was. Of course, like not struggling because they didn't get to me. That was not their like biggest thing. But anyhow, when I was so much involved in recruitments earlier this year, it was really like like something that you don't want to do, basically, to get that kind of message that yes, I know you're busy, but would you have time to talk with me about my something next career step, this issue, something. Definitely, like you have to have time for that kind of ad hoc talks.
I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
I don't know if like you guys get the same, but like for me, coming from operations like day to day, customer facing, back into like HR, like a lot of times I think that it's seen a bit as a supporting department, which in the end it is. So like a lot of people kind of like freely dispose of your time. For me, it was kind of like the biggest shift coming from the limelight, let's call it like that, like customer facing back
Hmm.
to the back office. And I think that's why it's hard to have a typical day, because you kind of like are at the mercy of other departments, other people, for you to structure your agenda as well.
I definitely agree that HR is seen as a supporting function. Um, and I think that, you know, that's the one of the challenges we do have in HR, that we have to wear so many different hats, that you are there to support the business 100%, support the business, support the people, but also HR have a real role to play in shaping the future, shaping the culture, growing the business, making sure it's kind of, we're ready for the, you know, for what comes next. So yeah, just lots of different hats. You might find yourself one day just dealing with individual people problems, and then the next day you're writing a people strategy and you have to kind of flick between kind of the reactive and the proactive. And that's the great thing about HR though, right? That's why I love it, just so much variety.
Definitely.
I love that you mentioned that, because my next question is usually what's the biggest challenge in HR? I think you mentioned yours already. Do you have others, or that's really the main one?
For me, it's also like making time, striking time between, like, let's say the creative side of it, like when specifically when you're looking at processes or how to do things, and then being able to explain it, communicate it, and roll it out. Because a lot of times you just think like, oh, I have this great idea and it works great in my head, but then getting the point across and making sure that people change the way they operate, specifically in things that might not seem as important for them,
Mm.
and at times I think that's challenging, just to relay how it impacts the bigger picture, coming from, I don't know, like your time tracking
Mm.
app or something like that. Yeah.
I have the exactly same thing, and for me, it has been something that I have noticed now, 2 years as head of HR. Like my strength used to be communication. I was super strong communicator when I was a supervisor. That was always my thing. Like people skills, social skills, communicating, like that was my thing. Then I have worked for 2 years as head of HR. Like that's my challenge. I'm so bad at communicating. Everything that I communicate, in the end it goes somehow wrong, and it's really like a learning experience. We don't have like a like communication department. We have just marketing and HR, and marketing is communicating towards customers basically, and HR is communicating towards
Internally. Yeah.
of course, like the management as well, the rest of the management as well. but that's definitely something that like I'm struggling the most with,
And
communication.
why is that? Why was that such something you did it well and now not anymore? What changed?
Because it's like with a team, it's super like you can be like so straightforward. I'm super straightforward. I love to speak openly. And then with the team, of course, as a supervisor, of course you have to be careful with some things. You can't communicate everything like as a like team member. But there is not a lot of room to kind of like explore and try out, and there's that kind of trust with, most likely the team is less than 10 people or something like that. There is trust very, very easily, and there is trust in Vainu like a lot. But I think that I have been communicating kind of in the same way, had the same communication strategy as a team leader, or like I'm one of the one of the partners of Vainu, kind of like my own company. I'm communicating as I feel the best, and definitely as head of HR, you can't communicate that way. You have to be careful with many things, and you have to pay attention to communication much more, and then it doesn't come that natural, and then it doesn't sound authentic, for example. And there have been situations where we have had to kind of like re-communicate something, not maybe due to my errors or something like that, but just thinking that this is easy, and it wasn't.
I see you nodding, Claire. Would you like to build on that?
Yeah, but communication is literally everything. And I think whether you have an internal communications department or not, HR will have to get involved in communicating. And there's just so many different channels. And I think, you know, maybe going back to an earlier point, when you're trying to invoke change or implement a new system, or, you know, trying to get buy-in for things, the communication is probably the most important part, helping people understand and recognize the value to them, the value to the business, how it will take things forward. And people, we have, I don't know if others kind of use Slack or Teams, you know, there's like lots of different things out there. But we have Slack channels, we have one-to-ones, we have an all hands meeting, you know, we have email, all these different channels. And who's reading what? You can't guarantee it. So you're having to communicate across all channels, communicate 10 different ways. So yeah, I think it's a huge part of our role in HR. And we don't always get it right. And we have to keep communicating again and again.
And maybe one point about growing a business, like for example, what Vainu, like people at Vainu think we're still kind of like in the old small company, not that many people. Like for example, what we are doing now, we are cleaning up Slack. That is a huge project because there are like, I don't know how many thousands of channels that have been created for whatever reasons before, because it has grown organically. There was no, like, we didn't need any rules basically earlier. Then suddenly we start to need rules for things, and then suddenly you're 150 people and like trying to communicate in the way as you did back in the days when you were 20 people. So it's like in the same office now, everybody's scattered around the Nordics in their own home offices or wherever, and really, like, it's a challenge.
I think Slack's a great platform. We use it a lot, and we ironically, we're creating new channels. We do have a lot of holders, but we're creating new ones. So we've created a manager community channel, because I really want the managers to be learning from each other and sharing ideas. So we've created that. We've created one called Helping Me, Helping You. So we're a remote first business. So you're not just sitting next to someone that you can ask a question to. So if you've got a question, throw it into Helping Me, Helping You, and someone will know the answer. And the most recent one we're starting to talk about is having a dedicated well-being channel. Just don't know what to call it yet, don't know what it will quite look like, but we think there's a space for people to share health and well-being tips, share, you know, if they're struggling with anything, because obviously well-being is a huge focus of our business. So yeah, so we're adding channels. We probably should remove some, but we're throwing in a load more.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to Slack as well, it's also for growing businesses is keeping that closeness, as we were saying, specifically now moving into remote environments. How do you keep people with the atmosphere they had in an office when everybody is like scattered around the world, like depending on the company as well, with different time zones and everything. So I think that's kind of like what's leading to this as Paulina, you were saying, like this overflow of communication. I think that the intention is there, but then it's hard to coordinate it because before there was the informal side of it, which was live. So it's not on the channel, but now it needs to be there. And I think we don't know quite how to get there yet.
I think we've got so we do that. We use Slack to keep the connection and enhance the culture. So we have what I call social channels. So we have channels for parents, people that are interested in house plants, cooking, sports. So we try and have the fun stuff as well as the kind of business stuff that we need, just to try and keep that connection a little bit.
Yeah, we have the random channel in my company as well to put like really random stuff, and that's super fun. Yeah. And Claire, you mentioned 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago that you research a lot and you try to keep up with trends. What are your sources of information? Where do you usually look for information to be updated?
I've recently signed up to Disruptive HR. So their subscription is actually really affordable. Sounds like I'm on commission. Promise I'm not. It is really. It's about. I think I paid about £300 for the year, which is great. And they've got like webinars that they record. That you could. There's live ones where you can go and ask the questions. You can watch them if you miss them. Articles, kind of 5-minute things. So Disruptive HR, I'm really enjoying at the moment. HR Ninjas on Facebook. I think it's a community of about 23,000 HR professionals. And you just learn a lot from people sharing ideas, sharing questions, and then reading the answers, like how people would respond to things. LinkedIn, there's a lot of HR influencers, people that I follow on there.
That's how I found you, Claire, because of your posts.
Because of my posts. I do share a lot on LinkedIn. So I read a lot on LinkedIn. Books, I've got a ton of books. So a book that I've just recently read was Patrick Lencioni, Employee Engagement. And if you're new into HR and employee engagement is this big, scary thing, go and read that book, because the way it's written is so simple and makes engagement really easy to understand. There's a lovely kind of triangle model in there that you can kind of adopt really easily. So I do a ton of stuff. We're always learning.
How about you, Paulina? Where do you get inspired?
At least I have one like really good Facebook group for HR professionals, and that's definitely one of my go-to things. They're Nordic people, basically Nordic HR people, because those are my markets. Of course, Finland is more familiar to me than the other Nordic countries, so especially those other Nordic countries are I might have really like simple questions that I'm just checking from those professionals. Then of course we have good payroll offices in all countries. I think they're kind of like, I don't know if they serve every customer as well as they serve me, but at least I'm a lot in contact with them, because I don't have any HR background from before. So learning by doing. Also LinkedIn is like basically the best place to find good articles, but definitely your recommendation about that book, that's something maybe I should read, the engagement book. That would be my next HR book that I would learn.
There you go. I might read as well, because we don't have HR yet at Wonderway, and I do the hiring and the company's offsite. So maybe I should read that book as well, and not only about sales and marketing.
Maybe we should do it together. Like
we have sales background anyhow. Javier, how about you? How do you get information to be better in your job?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's kind of like a dual thing, because firstly, like there is the trend when it comes to HR is a lot more developed outside of Spain. Sorry, HR in Spain has typically been just like payroll, and that's that. And now they're coming to terms with like the fact that we're in the 21st century, to be honest. So on one hand, I'm reading up on books and different articles to do on like employee engagement, everything to do with that, with like motivation, driving, creating company culture. And then I'm really focused on the law here, because I mean, like they're changing it a lot when it comes to like workers' rights. There's a ton of different applicable legislation. So I'm reading up on that, and there are a lot of interesting forums for like changes on how to input certain things. So for me, it's kind of those two things, just juggling the amount of regulations that we have, but also with like the building of these new practices and new trends that I'm seeing that are around there. So yeah, well, of course, LinkedIn is also like a key source of content for me.
Yeah. And last question. I mean, before the last one, how do you measure success, Claire? So what's the KPIs you look at?
We collect a lot of data in HR. I'm sure lots of other people do as well. One of the big things for me is our employee engagement survey. So I make sure that we're asking questions that will actually give us really good data. Because for me, my role is all about the employee experience, making sure it's seamless, it's enjoyable, it's fulfilling. So I think for me, the measure of success around that is employees telling us what's going on. Our engagement scores are quite high at the moment, so we're doing something right. But I think it's important to have that kind of frequent measure and listening to employees. I mean, there's the obvious things like turnover. Do we have people walking out the door en masse? No, we don't. So another win.
That's great.
I think there's just so much data that we can look at. But yeah, I think it's the employee engagement stuff that's really, that's the stuff I look at.
How about you, Javier? What do you look at in terms of KPIs and OKRs?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like because right now the company is in a transition phase because they just changed a bit the model that they have, moving from like typical agency into also like a consultant. So basically, changing that mindset is pretty complicated because you move from working like project to project back to like this idea of having like ongoing clients. So at that stage, of course, because employee turnover is a big thing, not for the wrong reasons, but it is a big part of it. And then also when it comes to employee engagement, we started doing surveys because Tectonica just got certified as a B Corp this year, which was a massive step for the company. So of course that comes with a lot of like auditing your own internal procedures and involving the employees. So I'd say that employee satisfaction and then also making sure that we are building a team that's there to last are the two main measures that we have right now.
How about you, Paulina?
Yes.
Anything different?
Yes. I was just about to say that same things as colleagues mentioned here, but also we have been recruiting a lot lately. We had like maybe like since 2019 we changed quite drastically our way of like who to sell to. Basically, we refined our ICP, ideal customer profile, so that we had to like let go and quit serving some of the customers and focus on the ones that actually get value of Vainu. And then that means that a lot of customers left because they weren't getting enough value, and we kind of like decided internally that okay, that's not something that we want to do. If somebody doesn't get value of Vainu, then like let's focus on those who do, and we know who do. So at the same time we have seen a plateau growth for like already two years, from 19 to 21, COVID and everything at the same time, of course. So we weren't hiring that much. And then like last spring, we started hiring like very much. So it was really like number of new employees that we managed to hire, of course, turnover as well. But that was my most important KPI in that sense. Of course, ENPS as well. And during this time, it's interesting when we have had this plateau growth that could be like demotivating to those people who work with Vainu, because we have like growth companies DNA in that sense, and suddenly you're not growing or you're negative, like at the negative growth. That's not like normal or something that you want to do, but it was for a good cause, of course. But we saw also a development of ENPS, of course, due to many other things as well, but this is most likely one important thing, about customers being very happy with the product compared to not being very happy with the product. The ENPS numbers of the company grew from basically zero, because ENP is of course like from 100 to -100 to 100, 0 to 70 something, 60 like 67 or 72 or something. That was the newest number. So we have done a huge leap there, but now it has been good for a long time already. So we have been focusing on other KPIs more, like number of recruited people has been the most important one for this year. 42 we recruited and maybe 5 people left. So of those, so definitely a like successful year in that sense.
Nice, very, very good. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have much more time, so we have time just for the last question. I always have loads of questions to ask, but I always interview extremely busy people, so I don't have 3 hours and to get all the information I'd like. But this is my favorite part of the show, which is I will show you one email that's supposedly written for someone working at HR. And I would love to hear your live feedback on it. It's anonymous, company names, everything is anonymous. So I'm gonna read it out loud as well. So, dear Javier, Paulina, Claire, I'm curious, how do you currently gather your dispersed HR finance data into reports and insights? Talking to companies such as Get Your Guide, Hotjar, and IKEA, we help them to link data from multiple sources, HRIS, ATS, probably know what it is, I don't, performance management software, employee surveys, and automatically get reports about employee attrition, hiring bottlenecks, and pay equity. As the main outcome, utilizing our solution saved them a lot of manual work and reduced their turnover by 15% on average. Would you be open for a quick chat on this? Regards, John. Who would like to go first? Claire, I'll give the mic to you. What's your take here?
I get about 20 emails a week that look like that. And if it's not front of mind for me at the moment, it's not something I'm looking at, I will get rid of it really quickly.
Yeah.
I won't go, oh, someone's asking me how I can improve my data and my reporting. And it's something I need to look at. If it's not a challenge for me right now, I won't be interested.
Yeah, doesn't resonate, exactly. Yeah, Paulina, you have a sales background. I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm really very fond of being salty, so feel free to try it out. I'm bad at emails, I have to say. Everybody who wants to contact me, please call me, because I'm super good at talking to people.
Tomorrow you will have a lot of people calling you because call all day long. Jeez,
yes, but seriously,
what did you just say, Paulina?
Yeah, most likely. Hopefully, I have a quite flexible time schedule tomorrow. So hopefully this will go live this evening, this session. But just what I like about phone calls, I know that people are irritated about them disturbing your workday and that kind of things. But in a phone call, it's so easy to ask further questions. Okay, why is okay, you're talking about Get Your Guide, Hotjar, and IKEA. Vino is not there. It's totally we're totally different. Why are you contacting me? Tell me more. Because I'm a salesperson who wanted to do their stuff in a very data-driven way. So I need to have that correct. When somebody calls me or reaches out on email, I never answer to those further questions. I never, of course, answer to an email hi, this sounds a bit off, could you explain a bit further? But I would definitely ask that on the phone, and I would like to understand more. Why did they want to talk to me? Of course, I would like to sell to them good data as well, so that they could tweak their sales process as well a bit.
I see. The cold calls are leads for your company. Smart.
I think everybody who contacts HR, they have to be they have to know what they're talking about, definitely. Because HR gets so many different kinds of weird cold emails. So call me and I will ask you some more questions, and then we know if it's interesting to me and maybe if you're not wasting your time or wasting your time.
I see you nodding, Claire.
Yeah, can I just add the email is definitely not the best way to start. So I agree. I'm not advocating just cold calling me, because it wouldn't work either, because I really don't like being sold to. I respond to LinkedIn is I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I can access LinkedIn in my time. My email inbox is, there's lots of stuff going on. So LinkedIn is a great way to speak to me, but just conversationally, that email is really scripted. I've heard of IKEA. I don't know the other companies. Just have a conversation. Say, hey, I've looked at YouLife. I see what you're doing, and I've noticed this, and make it relevant for me. Because that email has just been copied and pasted to 500 people probably. So LinkedIn, conversational, know a bit about the business that I work for, and hey, I might reply.
You could work for Vinyl, Claire.
Javier, what's your take?
Yeah, I was gonna say like pretty much like aligned with what Claire was saying just now. For me, it's kind of like missing any value at that stage for me aside from like the product itself. But like it's not speaking to me directly. So for me, maybe it's my take on it. But like once you get all of these so often, it alienates you to just feel that it's completely just, I don't know, like just casting a huge net and see what it picks up. So immediately, maybe for me, it puts me in a position of thinking this doesn't really align with the type of company I'm in. Kind of like on the note of what Paulina was saying about like how does, I don't know, a startup that's a consultancy like relate to Get Your Gang and IKEA? Like how can that solution be fit for us? Or like considering as well that it's going to be a paid service, like how is that service valuable enough to pay what IKEA would pay for that insight?
Yep.
So that's kind of like the two things, like just speaking to me directly, as Claire was saying, like for me, LinkedIn is also a great way to reach out. But then also like if you're interested in selling to me specifically, which you might not, you're just looking for HR and just like throwing it out there. But at that stage, I won't reply. But then just like approaching it in a way that speaks to me, then is a key way to get my attention. Yeah.
I would like to know who answers to that email. That would be something that I would be interested in, because a personalized email that is written for me, I might read. Call, yes, I answer all the time because
We know that.
Yeah, I want to talk with people who apply to work with me. So I answer to every call that is called to me, and I call back even. But then the sales pitch needs to be spot on and right data.
Good. Amazing. Well, unfortunately, we are reaching the end of the show. Thank you so much, Javier, Claire, Paulina, for the great insights and the great energy and for answering my questions. It was a pleasure. I guess I see you on LinkedIn as well. So keep in touch, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.